Mark Bullock, BMA Biotech.
Outstanding. Thanks for joining us today. Start off by talking about your company a little bit. What is it you guys do?
So, BMA Biotech have developed a range of sustainable and biodegradable chemicals, specifically used in the oil and gas industry. We were formed in 2016, so we are a relatively new company. But from then, we've come on leaps and bounds with the chemistry that we're using. It's revolutionary in the industry in the sense that all of our products are 100% biodegradable within 75 days. They're non-flammable, non-toxic, and generally, I mean, they are vastly superior to what's being currently used with, when people utilize petrochemicals. So our idea was basically to replace the toxic and harmful chemicals currently used in various applications.
And what is being used right now? I mean, what happens, say when a spill is being cleaned up now versus what you guys are offering?
Okay, so with a spill, our package is mainly bacteria based. Where our bacteria, instead of containing just 2 species, we contain 6, and one of them actually is very superior because it was actually found in an oil well in the North Sea, and it was causing issues there where it was literally digesting the oil. So we were able to get a sample of that and grow it in a lab condition and turn that into a remediation product. But we also do a liquid form of that product also. But we also do pipeline and flow assurance, wastewater, rig wash, storage tank cleaning, wellbore cleanups, and enhanced oil recovery products also. So they're all generally based off the same base compounds. It's just the extra additives in there that make each product unique. And where that has come from is when we've been dealing with a client, say for instance in flow assurance, who has noticed that hydrocarbon multi-clean will dramatically improve the viscosity of heavy oil, so it makes it easier to pump. Because of the cost of it, they've said, well, can you make something a little bit cheaper that's the same, with the same effect? So we've looked at what was components in that product that were making the, decreasing the viscosity of the oil, and then just create a standalone product for that specific area.
So this might be an industry term, but I'm familiar with the in situ cleanup.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that? And talk to me about that. And then what is the other one? Is it ex situ?
Ex situ.
Yeah, talk to me about those two differences.
So the two differences with in situ and ex situ, especially with soil remediation, refers to in situ is primarily the use of bacterial solutions to rapidly, depending on conditions and everything else, to degrade the oil without removing the soil. I have seen a number of companies that practice in situ treatment, but it's a question of, are they really doing in situ treatment, or should they be doing ex situ treatment? But typically ex situ treatment is soil washing, so you would dig the soil out, you'll put it in a contained area with spill containment, and you'd basically just wash the soil over and then put it back in. Because what tends to happen is with washing soil in situ is you're not actually doing anything other than washing the contamination down into the groundwater, and then it will naturally escape out into surface water. So if it's done the wrong way, it will actually damage the environment. It will cause the person who needs the spill cleaned up a lot more issues with the EPA, because if it gets into obviously water courses, it's a lot worse a problem.
Sure. Are you guys pretty familiar with the EPA and their guidelines and that sort of thing? Do you guys work with them?
Yes. We've dealt with the EPA under the old administration, and we were obviously, I'm not from the US, but my background is from the UK. But our ideals were very different in remediation. For instance, outside of the US, you have to be certified with various courses. You have to actually physically prove your product works. You can't just say it does. You don't pay for it to go on a spill cleanup list. You have to submit studies and everything else. Where when we were approached by the EPA to put our products on there, it was going to cost us a lot of money, and we just didn't see the value of it, because we don't believe in paying for our products to be put on a list when they're outside the US. They're on lists anyway.
So I'm curious about when you started over here in the US. You mentioned you're from the UK, obviously your accent as well.
Yeah.
When did you come to the States?
2015.
Were you working in the this industry over in the UK before?
Before I was basically I left the army in the British Army in 2009.
Okay.
And I had a variety of security related work, but then slowly migrated over to the oil and gas industry in various projects. And then when I moved to the US, because I couldn't leave for the first 18 months because of my green card application and everything else, it was basically I looked at what I could actually do. So I formed BMA Biotech and started to work mainly within the hospitality industry, within a different form of remediation for drain lines and grease traps.
Okay.
But then we had clients from the oil and gas industry that I knew previously who would ask us, can you do a product that can do this? So we naturally migrated over to the oil and gas industry, and our first product was released at the end of 2016, which was our storage tank cleaner. And then from there, we had various meetings with other companies, and that's where HMC comes from dealing with a lot of other companies who wanted a new type of pipeline remediation and flow assurance product. And that's how HMC was born. Then from there, obviously, other clients said, well, can you do something that can do this? Because we've noticed HMC does this. So we've just evolved with what our clients basically need.
Sure. Yeah, no, I was wondering if you had any experience in the oil and gas industry over in Europe, and just kind of the difference between kind of the two industries there. I mean, I've always heard there's such differences from regulations and that sort of thing.
So hydrocarbon multi-clean over in the US is a prime example. It doesn't, because it's a biodegradable chemical. In fact, any chemical in the US, you can really use it without much oversight. There's hardly any guidelines there for the chemicals. But in the UK, especially in the North Sea, we're currently going through the registration process for the product, and it's taken us 18 months so far. So it's quite a lengthy process. It's not just pay $20,000, for instance, and submit your product. It goes down to everything. I mean, we have to do feasibility studies on what each raw component will do to various sort of plant life, of type of fish, and everything. I mean, it's not as simple as just develop the product and off you go. So, and we've actually been told by the government regulatory body in the UK that due to the way we've developed HMC, they may actually alter the regulatory guidelines. So our products of our nature can be far easier regulated, because at the moment, the compounds in HMC is so new and so revolutionary that actually there's not much regulation or oversight with respect to them. So it's a lot harder to get them registered.
Where are you based out of now?
We're based out of Sugar Land, Texas. We are currently looking at moving up to the opening an outlet in the Eagle Ford, because our business is starting to pick up in there. We've got business in the Midland area, up towards the Panhandle, and also we're starting to spread out into Oklahoma. But we also do cover the UK and Europe with a satellite office over there and a very small number of staff.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so for a 3-year-old company, we've not done too bad.
No, not at all. And are you guys primarily just down there in that Texas, Oklahoma area, or looking at branching beyond there, or just staying put for the next year?
Well, it's a sense of we're willing to expand north, east and west, but we would like to do it in a timely manner, so we don't have to overstretch ourselves and provide, basically say to one client, you can have your product in 8 weeks, where we want to build up an infrastructure before we start selling in that area. That's what we tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot easier for our clients. We have a quicker turnaround with the chemicals. So if a client comes to us on a Monday, they can have it by the Friday. And that's what we like to do. We don't generally like to overstretch ourselves and our clients wait weeks and weeks and weeks for our products.
What do you want people to know from this interview, walk away from?
Well, basically, I'd like them to know that, our products are vastly improved compared to conventional chemicals used, especially our pipeline remediation and flow assurance product. The feedback we've got from our clients is that it works a lot better than conventional chemicals. It doesn't just remove deposition, it also prevents corrosion. It removes and prevents hydrogen sulfide and iron sulfide buildups. So, it's just a new product overall that, we've been published in various trade publications, mainly for the UK and Europe and the wider world. And it's just basically getting the word out about our company in the US.
And how can people know about you then? You want to get your word out, so how can people find out?
So we've got an online presence, obviously, with a website. We're also on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook and Twitter. We are generally being published more and more now with our clients increasing. They're obviously starting to talk about us a bit more. So word of mouth is generating us a lot of business at the moment. We've got a presence on major platforms. We also have a YouTube channel. So if anyone would like to see what our various chemicals can do, we've produced videos so people can see live demonstrations of what it can and can't do.
I imagine that works pretty well, the YouTube videos and the before and after pictures, that sort of thing.
It does. It's been a great asset to us. Again, we're very conscious of the fact that there's a lot of products out there that are deemed to be snake oil. We've been kept at a distance from some companies because they viewed a lot of our products like that. So our main sales tactics, for want of a better word, is say, okay, if you don't believe us, watch the YouTube video. Then that generates a bit of interest, and then they come back to us and say, right, okay, let's do a bench test where we can physically see it in person. There's no, it's not like you can cut something in real life. You've seen it there firsthand. And then from there, obviously, that's where our clients are then amazed.
I'll tell you what I've seen. I've seen your guys' industry become one of the more competitive industries in the oil and gas industry. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of times you guys are called to do a reaction, much like emergency response. Okay, you're not a firefighter and you're not a ambulance driver and you're not a cop, but in some respects you are an emergency responder to a spill. So there's that added competition of just timeliness. Are you the first person to pick up the phone? Are you that sort of thing? So that makes competitive. Secondly, you have the whole environmental movement going on. The whole everything's got to be green and the EPA, and so you've got that. But then, like you said, the snake oil part, because you're so competitive and because there's this ultra super secret science formulas and all these different things, it'd be really hard to develop a sort of a because you guys are new. That's the thing. It's a lot of this stuff is new. Is how difficult is it to develop the trust out there? Because really, that at the end of the day, I would imagine the oil and gas industry, they're still doing a lot of relationships based on trust, aren't they?
Yes, that's one thing we've seen because we're relatively unknown, especially in the US. Our contacts are very limited. It's still, for want of a better word, a good old boy network out there. And if they don't trust you, they won't touch you. But then what we've also seen quite common actually is people who have been introduced to the industry by known faces are actually causing a lot of distrust as well, because they're selling their products one way and they're not actually what they're meant to be, and they really are snake oil. We had a case where we had a new client phone us up because a competitor had done a job. The EPA had turned up to take some readings on a spot check and actually found the job wasn't done adequately enough. They'd been lied to by the contractor. The contractor was very clever how they worded their contracts, and they were not actually legally responsible for any issues they caused afterwards. So then we had to sort of guide the client through of how best to clean the mess up properly. And that generated some respect that way. And And now the word again with the older, the more older generations who tend to do more handshake deals on trust are now starting to take notice of what we're doing, because as you said, the environmental standpoint now that people are taking, that the oil and gas industry is a big bad wolf and it shouldn't be allowed to operate anymore. It has to be renewable energy. But that's where our products sort of set us apart, because our products genuinely are non-toxic and non-harmful. We actually had a famous instance where I was on site talking to a client, and I told him how safe the product was, and he was sticking his hands in it, and he was doing all this, and he said, well, can I drink it? And I said, well, I wouldn't advise it, but you can do if you really want to. And he literally started to drink the product in its concentrated form, and it was like, wow. And he said, that's safe. It's just one of those things. So it is, it's when it comes to the environmental standpoint, and you've got these protesters who are saying they want more environmentally friendly and conscious companies to operate, well, this is where we can step in, because we can offer those products where a lot of companies can't, because they're still based on petrochemicals and caustic substances.
I'd like to give guests the final word. Anything we left out, anything you want to reiterate, or anything along those lines? So the floor is yours, sir.
Again, just to reiterate that, our products are unique. They're very new. They're very advanced. We use only the best raw materials. There's a lot of research and development gone into our product, and we make sure that each of our customers are satisfied, in the sense that we also offer free delivery within a 500-mile radius of Sugarland, free technical support, and 100% money-back guarantee if our products don't work.